Welcome to episode 182 of the Fully In It podcast. Do you ever wonder what it would be like to go tech light, to not have your phone constantly with you, on you, and around you, interrupting your most important interactions with the people you love most? During my maternity break from my business, I took a very tech-free stance, and the results of it have surprised even me. And I cannot wait to share more in this episode of what I learned from that experience. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Welcome to the Fully In It podcast with Kate Saffel, a show for powerful moms growing life-changing businesses while showing up intentionally for their families. I teach you how to create a family-first and profitable business in less time by leveraging simple strategy, mom life-friendly systems, and above all, the mindset of going fully in it. You ready? So I am currently 6 weeks postpartum. I am actually holding my baby girl right now. She is sleeping in my arms while I record this episode. And my kids are at extracurriculars, my older kids. And so it seemed like the perfect opportunity to hop on the mic and share some of these experiences with you that I have had over the last 6 weeks. As I have shared on my social media as well as on past podcast episodes, my goal with this maternity leave with my 4th baby was to be as untethered as possible. I recognized in myself the very real possibility that I would spend my entire maternity break with her glued to my phone. Because let's face it, sometimes when you have a new baby, as much as you love them and you're so grateful to be there with them, it can feel monotonous. And I don't know if you're anything like me, but my tendency in the past when I was bored was to grab my phone and to scroll or to do work, right, under the guise of I need to get things done for my business. But in reality, I would spend all this time looking at my phone and not feel like it was particularly productive afterward. More so, it also would keep me away from being fully connected with my family. I can't tell you how many times I told my kids, one more moment, hold on, give me one more moment, I'm just finishing this. And if those words sound familiar to you too, if you've also said those things, just know you're not alone. For me, though, I realized that at this point in my motherhood journey, if I was going to be changing this behavior, this was the time to do it. And I wanted to really savor my time with my daughter. And I recorded an episode while I was still pregnant about my plan for going as tech-free as possible, practicing some digital minimalism. But I wanted to share what actually happened during that time and what that experience was like, especially if you think you may want to try something similar. And obviously you don't have to have a baby to try this. You could just start today and decide, I want to do things differently. I want to say one more thing too, because I know that this was one of my concerns just over the years in general with social media and tech and all of that, was that with owning a business, I felt like I needed to be online all the time. I needed to be available for my clients, and I needed to be posting every day to Instagram and just having an online presence and being everywhere all the time. But as parents, we know that this is exhausting and it's unsustainable. And believe it or not, I had been doing it for nearly a decade. And so I'd found ways to make it fit into my life and to work, but at the same time, I wasn't liking the toll that it was taking. But again, my fear, and maybe this is your fear too, was could I run my business without being available, with just signing off of social media and not being there? And while a 6-week experiment is not long enough, it's not conclusive enough for me to say, no, we don't need social media for business. I do think that there are ways to run a business and not be online as much as I think maybe we've told ourselves, as much as I've told myself I've needed to be. So I hope that this conversation I'm having with you is going to be refreshing, because I hear so often from my clients and from just, other mom entrepreneurs like, I really don't like social media. I don't want to be on there. I don't really want to do this. It's like we're doing it kind of begrudgingly because we feel like we have to. But I really think that there's another way. I'll get to that later on in the episode. But first, let me just talk about the parameters I set for myself and really how I managed this. So when I first had my baby girl, my plan had been to be off of social media, and I had set up posts on Instagram letting people know I was on a maternity break. But what I found was I really struggled with this. I still had the app on my phone, and I have a personal Instagram account, and I found myself posting to that because I just didn't feel ready to be completely untethered, and I wasn't quite sure how to do that. But I also didn't like that I felt like I was essentially making excuses for why I was still on social media. And so after probably that first week postpartum, I really had a moment with myself where I was like, come on, Kate, like, is this really, you really want to be on your phone this much? And it's not like I was on it that much, but it was more than zero. And I really wanted to challenge myself to take a complete break. So I had to do something radical. And again, if you're like me and you're used to being on your phone all the time and you really want to break that habit, this is the radical thing that I did. And you're welcome to borrow this strategy from me. And it's not revolutionary, so let's not get too excited here. But what I did was I deleted pretty much every single app off my phone. This was my solution because what I really wanted to do was get another light phone. And I did an episode, it must have been like it was in the 30s, maybe 33 or something like that, on digital simplicity. And I had talked about how I was using a light phone at the time. I love the light phone so much. It's a great solution if you are trying to get untethered yourself. However, they were back ordered until May, and my baby was born in mid-February, and I was like, well, this is not an immediate solution. So I thought, okay, how can I get creative? So I took my iPhone, and I had read some guides online about ways to turn your smartphone into a dumb phone, and I still felt like they didn't go far enough. So my solution was to delete every app off my phone except calling, texting, maps, like the not exciting stuff, the stuff that's not tempting. And what I did was I made sure that I had them set up on my laptop, because I use different tools to communicate with people. Like I use Slack to communicate with our homeschooling group, and I use GroupMe to communicate with the women at church, and I use Telegram to communicate with my clients. And, of course, it's like there's not one app that everybody uses. And so I had all these different communication methods on my phone plus texting, and I just felt like I was just always responding to messages. And I wanted that mental break. So by putting them on my laptop, I knew I wouldn't be tempted to get my laptop out. You see, the laptop to me is a definite symbol of I am working. And I've always been really good about not just like spending extra time on my laptop. I get on there, I do whatever work I need to do, and then I shut it and I put it away. So I knew that that wouldn't be tempting to me. So I made sure that those accounts were set up, but I also put time limits on all of them so that there would be an additional layer there to keep me from checking in, checking on them. And then really that left not much else on my cell phone. A couple of weeks into my maternity leave, probably about 3 weeks in, I did decide to download an app that would allow me to read ebooks from my library, because I had exhausted all the paper ones that I had. I had checked out a stack before my maternity leave, and I was like, I'm not getting back to the library to get more books. And to me, that felt like A really positive use of my phone was to be able to read books, when she was sleeping and I just needed something to do for a few minutes. And I have read probably at least 12 to 14 books since she was born. So I've been guzzling through books. It has been very good for me, and it's given me a lot of new ideas and just kind of refreshed me. So that was really my technique. And this is what I noticed. This is kind of the result that came out of taking that drastic of a measure, is that my interactions with my family have been so much deeper, so much more connected. My kids don't seem frustrated with me anymore because they're not competing for my attention with the phone. And ultimately, my brain feels so much clearer because I'm not filling it with, reels of people dancing and the latest conspiracy theory and celebrity news or whatever random stuff would, show up on my Instagram Reels feed. Because of course, we can't really control that. And to me, it's like you almost imagine a garbage can. And my mind was getting filled with just like these little pieces of trash from social media, and ultimately getting too full to then feel like my brain was working properly. I just had this like brain fog all the time, and I felt really distracted, and I felt, a bit like I struggled with attention and focus. All of that has cleared up since I took everything off my phone. And what's interesting is that I have a newborn, so I'm up in the night with her, and then during the day I'm homeschooling my kids. I'm keeping busy with 4 children, but I don't feel that it is as difficult as it would have felt if I had had my phone with me. It's really rather remarkable how much more capacity I gained just by dropping the phone. So if you have thought about doing something similar, I just want to encourage you. It has been such a gift. And to be honest with you, I'm not planning on going back on social media. I'm still figuring out how to navigate that with my business. I'm obviously going to be leaning more on this podcast. I'm sending out regular emails to my list, but I'm really reflecting on what I want my strategy to be going forward. And if you are an entrepreneur and this has been kind of your stumbling block of like, well, I need social media to build my business, I want to reassure you that I would say probably at least 80 to 90% of my clients have come from my podcast and from my website, not from social media. So that really leaves maybe 10 to 20% of my clients have come directly from social media. And I've noticed a really fascinating shift in that now I'm getting way more clients from my website. And I think that is pretty cool. The other interesting thing that happened is that I had a brand new client sign up for my mastermind during this maternity leave, and she didn't find me through social media. Right? She found me through my website. And so even though I wasn't constantly putting out content, I wasn't working the gram, I still had someone new sign up. So I think and I hope that kind of encourages you if maybe there's been some reasons in your mind of, I don't know if I can stop being on social media. I don't know if I can give it up, that maybe that there is a solution for you. And more so that the benefit, the gains are far greater than any potential losses. The thing I also want you to remember too is that we will always find like this, whatever it is that you've been doing in the past when it comes to tech, that's kind of your familiar way of doing things. That's always going to rank in your brain as being more familiar and more comfortable than trying something new. And if you were able to kind of just push past your comfort zone a little bit here and really remember why you want to either pull back or completely get off your phone, Remember why, like because of your family, because of your life together, because your time is meaningful and you can't get it back. Can you hear all these little baby noises? She is the sweetest, cutest thing, and she is noisy, and she makes these cute little like chipmunk noises. And anyway, that's, if you can hear that, that's her. She's so cute. But yeah, we have to remember why it is that we're willing to do what it is that we're doing. So for me, I'm so grateful. I feel like this is just such a game changer for me. And going forward, I am not planning on putting any of those apps back on my phone. I may put Telegram back on my phone because it's how I communicate with my clients, but I may not. And the other thing I should mention that I didn't say is I took email off my phone, even email, because previously, before this break, I would check my email all day long. I would be responding to emails like in, the parking lot waiting, or I would really try to like maximize time, And by the same hand, it just meant I was always like with my face in my phone. Now I have to have a set time that I sit down with my laptop and I look at my email and I process the emails. I respond to people. I do the things I need to do online, and then I get off, and it's awesome. Yesterday, my oldest daughter, who's 14, and I were riding in the car, and she was like, "Hey mom, did so-and-so email you back yet?" And she's waiting for an email about a ballet school that she wants to go to next year. And I said, "Oh, honey, I'm sorry. I haven't checked my email all day because it's not on my phone anymore." And I thought, yes, that right there is such a win. It has given me such freedom. It's given me the ability to be present and not feel constantly tethered to a world that is not concrete and right in front of me. And I think that's really the invitation here now is, where do you want to spend the majority of your time? Is it in the concrete world that is around you, right in front of you, in this moment, in your home, with your family, or in an online world that is fleeting, ever-changing, and maybe not even always reflective of your values? So I hope this gave you some things to think about. I am always an open book on this. I know these are going to be conversations my clients and I will probably be having once I start my calls back up, which will be in the next few weeks. I'll be starting to take client calls again. But I'm open to having this conversation with you too. So I guess maybe don't message me on Instagram because I may not be there, but you can always email me, hello@happierinmotherhood.com. And make sure that you get on my email list, because I am sending out an email every single week. And you can also hit reply to that email and I will directly get it. And I really do love hearing from you. So let me know how this episode landed with you. I am sending you so much love. Hope you have a great week ahead, and I will see you on the next episode.